This is the Vatic Alchemy, the newest paddle by Vatic Pro. It's the signature paddle for pro player Spencer Smith, and it's Vatic's first unique paddle they've released, since their original line of paddles was similar to other thermoform paddles on the market, and the Prism line is similar to the Yola Hyperion. While the Alchemy is a Gen 2 thermoform paddle, what sets it apart is the unique look it has from the V-shaped hole at the throat with an edge guard. The purpose of the throat hole is to increase the swing speed of the paddle, and the edge guard is meant to add perimeter weighting. This is the first pickleball paddle that comes with an edge guard on the throat hole. The perimeter weighting from the edge guard is meant to compensate for the missing paddle area from the hole to mitigate any loss of sweet spot. The cool thing about this guard is that it's actually removable, so you can customize your Alchemy a bit to your playstyle and liking. Removing the edge guard takes off around 0.2 to 0.3 ounces. The one thing I'm not a fan of is how rough the throat hole area looks with the guard removed. The paddle hole has rough edges and the paint job isn't consistent on it, which makes it seem like the edge guard is not supposed to be removed, and I do wish there was a cleaner look on the paddle there. The Alchemy is an elongated paddle with an arrow curve shape, similar to what you see on the Hyperion or Pulsar, so it's a shape we haven't seen before on any of the existing Vatic paddles. The V7 has that rectangular shape, while the Flash has a similar arrow curve, but is slightly shorter in length with a slight taper at the top corners. The Alchemist handle is also the first Vatic paddle to be listed at 5.5 inches, since the Flash and V7 are advertised as having 5.3 to 5.4 inch handles. Now while the Alchemy does come in 16 and 13.5mm thickness options, I only have the 16mm version, so this will be the only one being talked about for this review. My Alchemy came in at 8.6 ounces, noticeably heavier than both my V7 and Flash. In terms of its speed, I found it to swing slower than my Flash and only a little bit quicker than my V7. Removing the throat edge guard did increase the swing speed of the paddle, but slower paddles don't bother me too much, so I mainly played with the edge guard on. The paddle face texture is smooth, and I believe it's the same tighter weave pattern that the Flash 14mm uses. Now I personally can't tell if this provided more or less spin than Vatic's other paddles when I play. I don't use any tools to measure and just judge it based on if I can see anything noticeably different when I play matches. Even if there are RPM differences, for my low-level play at least, I don't really notice a difference between the Alchemy and most of the other Gen 2 paddles. For power, the Alchemy is in between the Flash and V7. I can't generate as much power on drives as the V7, but it's more than what I can get from the Flash. What I think is the best part about the Alchemy is the feel of the ball off the paddle face. Vatic's original line of thermoform paddles is one of the stiffest brands out there, which can be a pro or a con depending on your preference for feel. The Prism series on the other hand were very plush, since they aren't Gen 2 paddles, which made them lean more towards control. With the Alchemy, the feel isn't quite as plush as the Prisms, but it's noticeably less stiff than the original Vatic line. In fact, I would say that after a break-in period, the Alchemy feels more plush than most of the other thermoform paddles on the market. In my opinion, that's the Alchemy's main selling point compared to other thermoform paddles, the plush feel it has for a Gen 2 paddle. The removable edge guard is a nice touch, and while I can see it being utilized, I just don't like how rough the paddle surface looks with the guard removed. I personally really enjoy the Alchemy, and I'm currently considering switching to it as my main paddle. I had stopped using Vatic's original line because I wanted a plusher feel, and that led me to the Prism series. With the V7 Prism, I still had good power on drives because of the high weight and head heaviness of the paddle, but this led to slower hands at the kitchen, and the plush feel made my power limited at the net. I currently find the Alchemy to solve a lot of these problems for me. It's slightly quicker with more pop at the kitchen, and I also have the added benefit of more plow-through on drives. The Alchemy goes for $180, which puts it at the same price point as other brands on the market, like 6-0 and Volair. While the Alchemy is pricier than Vatic's other offerings, you have to give props to them for investing in R&D and trying something new in the Gen 2 market. If you do want to check out the Alchemy, I've linked my discount code here and in the video description, which will get you $10 off your order from the Vatic Pro website.
Oh, we didn't even let it bounce. What's that?